Merry Christmas! Welcome back to NeuroDiverse Christian Couples. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Dan.
And today we want to go ahead and give a little bit of a spoiler alert because we're talking about different Christmas traditions. Today might not be a podcast you'd want to listen to with maybe children 12 and under in your car, so that we don't spoil anyone's magical holidays today. But today being Christmas, we asked our listeners, what are some things you wanted us to talk about for our Christmas episode? So one person had asked for tips and tricks, and I thought maybe on Christmas Day it might be a little too late for that. So made a YouTube on tips and tricks on navigating sensory issues in the holidays. So two other questions came to us that we're going to talk about today. One asked us to talk about what are the Christmas traditions we grew up with, and what did we specifically do to keep Christ in Christmas? And then Christmas is about Emmanuel, God with us. And since we talk a lot about joy building and Hesed and all of Wilder's life model works, what is a time throughout the year? It's an experience you had and I've had where we've experienced God with us, where we have had joy building with God and each other together. What did it look like practically? So let's start with Christmas in childhood. What was Christmas at your house like?
Probably not any noticeably different than many Christmases at folks' house. It was Christmas Eve. We got to open one present. That was the tradition. You got to pick the one you wanted to open. The big stuff was not under the tree. So if you wanted a bicycle, for instance, or whatever
a Christmas play set, kitchen set,
whatever your big item,
Barbie playhouse,
that was not under the tree on Christmas Eve. That would have come from Santa during the night.
Oh, okay.
So whatever that thing is, sometimes that was unwrapped. Like if you got a bicycle or a big toy,
something that nobody wanted to wrap. Yes.
That was the thing that would have come straight out of the bag and put under the tree or next to the tree, depending on how big it was. So that you got surprised with in the morning when you woke up. And then Christmas usually started whenever it was we woke up, probably way earlier than anybody else in the family wanted to wake up. And my sister and I.
Well, y'all had a tradition that ended up being a little bit of a clash of the Titans when we got married. So after y'all did your gifts, what was another tradition?
You asked me what it was, and now you're asking me to go to
you were starting that really long, drawn out pause. So I was helping bring that in for you.
I was not, but see, now we're derailed.
No, we're not.
Yes.
So we're back to Christmas, Santa earlier.
So then you woke up, you did Christmas. First thing you did was presents, and then we had breakfast, and then you got to play, right? You played whatever it was you got, from a skateboard that I might have got in junior high to I got a Hot Wheels racetrack one year. I remember that.
Did you ever get one of those big wheels?
I got a big wheel. A
green machine?
Yeah, that was in Florida. I had a green machine. I wanted another green machine, and apparently they
stopped making the green machine.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you get those kind of things anymore. I don't know that I've seen those in.
Well, Toys R Us and Lionel's Toy Warehouse is gone. So yeah.
So you play with whatever it was, and usually that only lasted a day. If it made it to lunch, it was a good toy. If it was even longer than that, right, then you're outside playing in the box or whatever. Then at the end of whatever playtime was, usually mid-afternoon or something, you'd put all your presents back under the tree in a kind of display, or this is what we got for Christmas. So my sister's stuff would be here, and I'd arrange all my stuff over here, and that's where it would stay until the day after Christmas, and then you took it to your room. And that was Christmas as I knew it all the way through when it was us.
Did y'all read anything? Go to church Christmas Eve?
Well, we always went to church. If church was open, we were there.
Did you read Luke 2? Was it the Christmas story, or did y'all do a Santa story? What was that?
Well, I don't remember any stories. You just opened presents.
Okay. So that would be a little bit of a clash when we got married, because so our family, kind of the same thing. If there was a big thing, it was unwrapped. But we opened our stuff, and then, usually Dad would probably read from the Bible. We'd usually do the Christmas story first, and then we would open our presents, and then it was like a free for all and play. And since my dad was a little OCD, it was more like, take them to your room now. Like, we're cleaning up Christmas. Christmas is done.
Christmas is over at 7.
Take your stuff to your room and clean this room up. So one of our first, not our first Christmas, because our first Christmas, technically, we'd only been married a week.
Yeah, we didn't.
So we didn't really have a real first Christmas.
We weren't even at home that week.
Yeah, we were coming back from our honeymoon that night, actually, on Christmas Day. So the next year, when we had our house and had all the stuff, I'm going to take things under the tree and put them up. And you're like freaking out on like, put that back under the tree. You're not supposed to take that from the tree. It's not tomorrow yet. I was like, I'm putting the stuff away. I want to put the things away. No, we have to take a picture. I was like, well, we could take a picture of it, but then I want to go put it away. So our first little clash there. A huge thing in my family is we didn't go to church on Christmas Eve because we usually had all my mom's family over, whoever was in town, and came, and we did white elephant and gift exchange until that next generation came, and then we didn't fit in the house anymore. It was one thing when it was my mom, some brothers and sisters, and us as cousins, but then when we all had children, it got too big. So that was kind of our North Carolina life. But when we moved to Georgia, we wanted to be really intentional about
there was another
Christmas.
thing we said when we had kids is that we told the grandparents that when we had kids, that if they wanted to see the kids on Christmas, they had to come to our house.
Yes, that was very, very important to me, that I just wanted to wake up in our house on Christmas. I didn't want to be rushing to anyone's home. I didn't want to rush the day by visiting this set and visiting that set. So actually, before we even had kids, we established Christmas Day was ours. We will go whatever for Easter and Mother's Day and Father's Day and Thanksgiving, but Christmas Day is ours at our house, where we do not leave the house. Right. You may visit us. Y'all can take turns. Y'all can come together, but it's our day.
And even when we moved to Georgia, we still did Christmas at our house and then would travel, or we would leave early.
After, right. And there was another thing that was really important to us too, is we did participate in Santa festivities. But a gut feeling I had about our daughter, Sydney, even when she was really young, we didn't know about the autism yet, but she was a very black and white literal thinker. And we both decided that when she began to ask questions, we would tell her the truth. We would not play it up. It's kind of a form of gaslighting a little bit, y'all, to keep telling kids they're not seeing what they're seeing. And so when she started asking the questions, which for her was at like 3 or 4. Like with her little brain, she was like asking questions like, what about people who live in countries where you don't believe in Jesus? And does Santa come? How does he do it when there's no fireplace?
I remember asking that question.
And I mean, we chose to be honest. What really sealed the deal is who knew a 3-year-old could understand handwriting. So I would write on the things that were in the stocking. That was another thing too. I wanted credit for the presents. We worked really hard. So the only thing Santa brought was the stuff that was in the stocking. Things that were on the stocking or on the fireplace, that was Santa, and everything else was Mom and Dad, because we worked our butts off and I wanted credit for that kind of stuff. So, but I wrote everything and wrapped everything. And when she was 3 or 4, but she recognized the handwriting. She said, Santa and Mommy make an S the same way. And it's like, what am I going to do with that? And then it was like, she noticed the paper. I mean, who knew someone that little would recognize the paper? And so when she asked the specific question, it's like, it's kind of like a game. And parents kind of like to pretend how long they can keep pretending. And so you figured out the game. And so let's not tell other kids, because they still need to figure out the game. It's like a rite of passage. Everybody's supposed to figure out this on their own, and you will not be a well-liked child if you spoil the game for other people. And so there was just something about me that said, we're telling her, we're the same people that are going to tell her about God, and, stuff about God and Santa, about seeing things and knowing when you're good and bad. And I don't know. I think it was a good move because of her being a black and white thinker. If she would have been like, you lied to me about Santa, what else have you lied to me about this Jesus thing? So that's kind of how we did it. And we also got these, I don't remember what ministry sold the adornments, but that was also sometimes a fight between our girls. There were these 12 ornaments that had like a name of Jesus, like Jesus is the light of the world, King of Kings, bread of life, and then it would have a picture. And the one that everybody wanted was King of Kings, because King of Kings was a crown, a very beautiful crown ornament. And we'd have to keep track of who got the crown this year, because next year the other girl wanted the crown. So we would have to do them in an order so that when they got to the names, because I think you did them like maybe the 12 days before Christmas, and you would put a new ornament on, you would say the name of Jesus that came with it and the scripture that came with it, and you would talk about that in the Bible as a little devotional. And so at least as 12 days come before Christmas, you're kind of building the story, and lands with and that was the other one they wanted to fight over, was the baby Jesus, the Emmanuel, God with us.
I only had that calendar when you could.
Well, that was a thing where there was candy in everyone. And so they were always, doing that. But as far as like trying to be intentional about keeping Christ in Christmas, we, wanted to do the fun festivity stuff. Like, I love Christmas. I love everything about Christmas. I love the hats. I love the shirts. I love the decor. I love everything. But more importantly was Jesus and keeping Christ focused in that. So we did that. That was a tradition. When the game was over, and don't spoil it for your sister. The 12 days of Christmas, we would begin the morning with
decorating. Everybody wanted to decorate. Everybody got their own tree.
Yes, I'm a little Christmas OCD. So I didn't
want all the kids crafting.
I didn't want the kids handmade things on my tree. I'm just going to be honest. So both of the girls got their own forfeit tree, and they could put whatever on their tree that they wanted. And then the main tree was different. And the
grandparents would give them an ornament every year.
Yeah, and their grandparents gave them an ornament that kind of represented something that they liked, or their personality. We would usually begin our morning with the Christmas story. I would usually find like a book or a fold-up book that told the Christmas story in whatever age appropriate they were: kindergarten, elementary school, middle school. Then we finally worked up to all of Luke 2. So that was kind of intentional there. Our church didn't have a Christmas Eve service.
Christmas Eve at the time.
So I guess that was kind of more family focused. And then when we moved to Georgia, we kind of had to make a little bit more of different traditions, because here we were down here without really extended family here. We had an aunt that was here, and there was like a big thing that she would do with all the children. But for us, it's like, what do we want to do differently? We've got kids kind of going that are a little bit older. So was it your idea that started the going out to eat?
So Christmas Eve, we decided, I don't remember, I think I wouldn't do it until the kids were old enough to appreciate it. They had to
I think Erica was at least in middle school.
They had to recognize that this was different.
This was a nice restaurant with manners and dress up and suit coats. And
so there's a couple ideas behind it. Number one is it's just something that we do rarely, right? Because it was pricey.
Very expensive.
And some of it was, let's just go and dress up. Let's be nice. Let's sit in an elegant place. And it was also to learn the difference between, I can recognize quality when I see it, right? I can go to other places, and it's the difference between, you go to McDonald's and you get a burger for $1, and you go to this other place and it's well more than $1.
Yeah.
But the value that you get out of it is everything about it, from the environment to the elegance to the service to everything. The environment is just way different. And it was that opportunity to say, this is a special moment. We're celebrating Christmas. We do it rarely, right? We do it once a year. So we're going to do something that is at the same level of quality of what we treat Christmas.
It's also, from all the hustle and bustle that comes with it, and the school parties and decorating and all the gatherings, it felt like it quieted it down. It's just like being there, and when you're in a nicer restaurant and they're not trying to rush you out, you can sit and talk and be at peace. Yes, it was a very nice, quiet place with low lights and candles and everything. And so it just, it was a different setting. So we felt like we had that space to kind of be with the girls and talk with them and check in. And one of the bigger things that was that set this night apart was the girls could get anything they wanted off the menu, which was huge, because usually if we went out to eat, Dan's like, you get a drink or you get a dessert, or you've got like this budget. So whatever you can get with that budget, you can do it. If y'all want to share something and then share a dessert, but it's much more efficient when we went to other places. Like, here's the amount of money we're going to spend, use it well, and you will take this home and eat it if you do not finish it. But at this other restaurant, I was like, okay, if you will eat it, you can have it. And you did not say anything about how expensive it was, which I appreciated, because at all other times we always talked about how expensive it was and don't be wasteful. So that's what made this night a little set apart for me.
There's
as well.
a time for everything under the sun.
Yes. But that the girls would be like, they'd be like, and we can order anything. It's like, wow, it's Christmas.
And Erica did.
Erica would go for that market price thing. I mean, she was like,
it was a
surf and turf, lobster. I mean, this was her time. Dad's not going to say anything, and I'm going to show him that I will eat it all. So usually after that, we would come home, and then the only thing we would open is Christmas pajamas. So everybody had Christmas pajamas, and that was the one present. We go put our Christmas pajamas on, and then I don't remember what year this started, because I don't remember when the movie came out. But the movie, The Nativity, came out, and we started watching that. So we go out to eat, come home, unwrap our pajamas, put in The Nativity, and kind of talk through that again, back to the worldview of the reason we do this. And as the kids got older, really understanding things that Mary went through, and more of the politics, and really the hardship of Mary and Joseph, not just the little figures that sit in your activities, that like what they really went through. And that became more meaningful. And then Christmas morning, we'd usually read or talk about being grateful, and then we'd open our gifts. And so we kind of intentionally slowed things down to focus on, Christ and family and generosity. Another huge thing was we did not spend a lot of money on our kids at Christmas. So I was kind of the mind, your birthday wasn't to really spend a lot of money on you. Your birthday is about you, and they got way more gifts on their birthday than they did at Christmas, because something we started really early with the kids was kind of give Christmas away. So whatever either our church was sponsoring, or an angel tree, or because there's a lot of different organizations out there. We're connected with cross-cultural ministries here in Atlanta. I've been on the board of that ministry, and we do Christmas for low-income families that would have no other Christmas otherwise. So we really chose to put our Christmas budget more in giving Christmas away and teaching our girls generosity and letting them help pick out the presents. And, so we live in a kind of affluent place where you might get an iPhone or something crazy, a new computer for Christmas. And that's just not what we did. I mean, the budget was usually like $150 a kid, and we would spend $150 per kid on another kid or more, and teaching the kids to be generous and to give. And it's not about receiving, and it's not about your Christmas wish list. Again, it's about Jesus. It's about generosity. It's about sharing love and joy for others. So that's kind of how we did that. So that was a question that came in from a listener, is how did y'all do it? We have young kids, put some ideas out there. So that was our idea.
We had that was always a big breakfast too, Christmas.
Oh yeah, Christmas breakfast, because Dan would pull out the waffle maker, and those suckers are so
we ended up having
difficult.
to get two, because one waffle maker for 4 people was very
laborious and long. Time. Yeah, so we got the waffle makers out, and that was another thing. Kind of waffle bar the next morning, and eggs,
waffles and eggs, and
we would set a formal Christmas breakfast.
Right, we eat off the Christmas china.
The Christmas china. So
it came from Kmart, I think.
It did. You got the points. I was collecting that when we were 20. We were poor, so I had my points and my coupons.
That's good, though.
And I collected my Christmas china, one little place setting at a time, until Kmart went out of business, and then I went and cleaned them out of every single possible thing of their points at a place setting that I could find. So that was it. We wanted to do Christmas and make it special, make it more about events and family time more than about gifts. So if you're going to spend that money, I mean, shoot, the meal was almost as much as what they got in presents. More than what they got. Because that was more special and it was family time and memorable. And this will be the first year that didn't happen. So it's a little sad with a married daughter and another one in Omaha. Makes me a little teary-eyed. So enough of that.
Not me.
No. Dan's like, yay, empty nesters.
I'm not yay.
Okay.
I'm not teary-eyed.
You're just nothing. You're just Darth Vader. That's your jolly face. Mm-hmm. Okay, so tying in Emmanuel, God is with us. If you have been a follower or a listener, or you watch us on YouTube, or you hear us on the podcast, we have promoted a lot of Dr. Wilder's work. Remember the 4 healthy soils: joy, Hesed, group identity, and healthy correction. And a lot of the work is also about joy building with God and joy building with each other, building high joy. And so the listener asked, well, talk to us about what does actually building joy with God and each other at the same time look like? Okay, it's in the book. What does it look like? And we both, when we were talking about this, came up with 2 totally different events. So why don't you share first? What was what you thought of?
I think you go first.
Oh, mine's a little sadder, so you need to go first.
Oh, okay.